Okay. Today, my guest is Professor Jan-Erik Vahlne. I'll keep my introduction short to maximize our time with him. In the next 30 minutes or so, we'll talk about Jan-Erik as a person. Professor Vahlne is a thought leader and an esteemed scholar, and finally is a mentor to many PhD students and junior faculty. For the sake of time, I'll skip many of his accomplishments and give you a very quick snapshot. Professor Vahlne is an AIB fellow. He received the AIB Decade Award in 2019. He has been working on the Uppsala internationalization process model since 1977 and has made significant contributions to the field of IB. He is currently an Emeritus Professor at the Center for International Business Studies in the University of Gothenburg, Sweden. Thank you, Jan-Erik, for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Perfect. First question, what did you want to become when you were a child?
To begin with, I wanted to be an engine driver on the railway, like so many other boys. But later, as a teenager, I think I wanted to be an explorer, to go to other parts of the world and find out about unknown things about them, you know, and publish new maps or books on what these regions are and what could they offer to us.
And Jan-Erik, where did you grow up?
Well, in mid-Sweden, I could say.
Okay. And can you remember the earliest moment of awareness between domestic versus international?
Yes, I can. It so happens that my father was an engineer. His specialty was propellers for ships. And because of that, he visited shipyards around the globe. And he was away and for periods of time, and he came back having stories to tell and things to bring and so on. So relatively early, I understood there were other parts being not Swedish.
And how did you choose to be a scholar?
Well, I would say I did not choose. I just stayed on. I got my master's degree from the University of Uppsala, and I felt I was not ready. I felt I had not learned enough. So I wanted to study more. So I stayed on. And then I met Jan Johansson. He was teaching a course to, let's say, senior people. And because of that, I felt I want to work with Jan Johansson, my co-author with the Uppsala model, you know. So I just stayed on. I never choose.
And something that is not on your CV that people might find interesting about you?
I don't know really what that could be.
Any hobbies?
I came to love to be in the nature. I mean, we are happy in Sweden to have a lot of wilderness, and because of that, me and my wife, we acquired some forest, and I like to work in the forest and do some hunting and fishing and be out in the wilderness. And that's what I really like. It has, I believe, a sort of refreshing on my mind, and for most people also. So beautiful. That may be something.
If you stop doing what you're doing today, what would be the second best career path for you?
I think then manager in a multinational corporation. Because of the empirical work I've been doing, I met many of these people, and I think the work they're having is really exciting. Also demanding, perhaps, but so that's what I think I would like to do then.
Beautiful. Any regrets? Anything you would say, I wish I have done something differently, or I wouldn't have done it in the first place?
Well, possibly what I regret is that, we did this article in 1977, the first paper on the Uppsala model, you can say, even if we didn't name it like that in those days. And then it lasted many years, because I went to Stockholm, to Stockholm School of Economics. Jan Johansson stayed on in Uppsala and became a part, so to say. And because of that, we did not continue. I wish I had done more work on the Uppsala model already in the 1980s. So I think we missed an opportunity there.
No, you didn't. You did quite well.
But we could have started earlier, so to say, to do more work. Oh.
What did you learn from your biggest failure?
I would say maybe I am like the Uppsala model. I didn't take large risks, I feel, when I think about it. I progressed, I think, by learning incrementally. So I don't feel I made any large failures, really. It's more I missed opportunities, that I could say, by not taking more risks, perhaps.
That's fair. That's fair. What are you most passionate about?
Well, today I must say I'm scared about climate change. So my passion is not within IB now, but more the dangers I feel humanity is facing. And I think we are so slow in doing something about it. Scientists have taught us, I think, what we could and should do, but we are so slow. So that's my big worry today. And I'm not saying I try to change my personal way of living to be somewhat helpful in talking to people I meet and so on. But that's my worry.
Thank you. So let's talk about research. And let's say you're hiking in the woods and you get stranded. People are curious about you, what you do for a living. And how do you explain your research and why your research is important to people who don't read IB journals?
I think I would say that pointing to technology products they are using in their daily life, whether that is cars or computers or whatever, and making them realize that those things are manufactured or developed by large companies being active in many parts of the world, so named multinational enterprises. And we need to understand how these companies are working, helping them to improve, perhaps helping international organizations regulating the business of MNCs and government, of course. So we need to know more about them. That is what I think I would say.
Thank you. About omitted variables, omitted contexts in IB research, what would you say?
I didn't get your question.
Things we have omitted from IB research, things we have not developed enough, variables,
right.
contexts, concepts.
I think we have departed too far from those managing multinational corporations. I think we are perhaps too much academic in our way of approaching research problems. I think we should be closer to managers. I mean, they are. That's why I am arguing for us taking a process view. Things change constantly and more rapidly, perhaps. And those managing in an multinational corporation, that they live in a constant stream of events. And I think we aren't taking on their situation much enough. I think we could do more to them, so to say.
What's changing for the MNC? What's changing for the decision maker in the market right now? Examples, please.
Well, the environment is changing so dramatically. New knowledge is developed in a very rapid pace. Artificial intelligence, to take the latest thing we are talking a lot of. And that will be exploited, of course, by the multinational companies as other companies as well. And so there are huge changes ahead of managers and, of course, officers in public service also, all of us, in fact.
And how would you describe creativity in scholarship, in research?
Taking a close look at those things we take for given, lifting on the stone, so to say, and see what's underneath that stone that we stepped on.
In a state of idle curiosity, when your mind is wandering in a state of free and idle curiosity, how do you come up with these paper ideas? And you're very productive. I looked at your publications, even the most recent ones. Very creative topics. How do these come about?
Well, I'm a believer in experiential learning, and I think what I read, what I see, what people I meet tell me, these things adding together makes me more or less constantly think about research problems. I think there is so much that we could still do. I already mentioned what I think is the most pressing, that is to see things from the point of view of managers being active in multinational corporations, the situation, what the problems they face. I think we should formulate more research problems from that point of view.
Jan-Erik, you mentioned environment, you mentioned new knowledge being created and artificial intelligence type of fancy things being brought to the market. I want to ask you about your predictions about the next 5 to 10 years of IB research. What will be at the forefront? What will impact our major conferences, our topics, our curiosity?
I think, or let me start, if you allow me to say, I think we are progressing too much in quantitative type studies with very sophisticated statistical analysis, with relatively poor theoretical underpinning and relatively poor theoretical discussion of the output of that statistical analysis. I think we should start being much more down to earth, being again close to managers, trying to see things from their point of view, and applying process studies over time, using our neighboring sciences such as sociology and psychology on IB problems, taking the micro foundations of international business, that is, parts of the organization and even individuals. I think we have, to some extent, forgotten that companies are really people, and people are learning, taking decisions, acting, and so on. We left that to some extent.
Thank you. Now, looking back, at least going back to 1977, since 1977, you've seen progress being made in IB in many different areas of IB, either political side, finance, people with finance background, marketing background. There's an evolution going on. What did we lose, or what did we gain through this evolution, and at the point that we ended up today?
I guess the gains are that we are much more knowledgeable about the operations of multinational companies. It's a huge difference now compared to 1977. I think what we have lost is our relation to the realities of practicing managers, the nitty-gritties of their doing, because it's really people who are learning, it's people who are taking decisions and so on. And we departed to some extent from that. So that's what we have lost, I think.
Thank you. And about mentoring, you mentioned your advisors or your co-authors at the beginning. Who was the most influential person in your life in academia?
Well, it was my co-author and mentor, Jan Johansson. He was most influential to me.
Can you remember something that he said? What would be his best advice that you remember?
Well, he never told me nor my doctoral colleagues what we should do. Or he rather asked questions in a sort of therapeutic fashion. Why did you find this? What does it mean? What are the reasons? And so he stimulated us to dig deeper, to continue. So that, I think, was a very stimulating way of being. Plus, he also, because to be a doctoral candidate, I think, was connected with a lot of uncertainty, and he made me. Maybe he taught me to appreciate uncertainty. So that is what I. Thinking back, what I really learned is to enjoy uncertainty and see opportunities connected with uncertainty. That is what I would like to tell young people, not to be scared about uncertainty, but be able to be willing to take risks, not too large risks perhaps in their research, but some risk. I think the too many projects deliver relatively little contribution, and I think to make a large contribution, we got to take risks in our research.
So, what can you say about, in general, what can you say about PhD students, doctoral students? Doing early on in their career that you would say, don't do it, it would result in these unproductive research streams or low impact research outcomes. Mm-hmm. What do you see as the common problems that they do?
I would like I know I'm repeating myself, but I would like in Sweden, we go directly from master studies, from a master exam into research.
Mm.
I would love to see people with master exam go for a year or two into a multinational company to see for themselves what happens there, and then formulate their research problem, and not being so much affected by or affected only by what is previously been done in research and adding a minor thing to that, but to formulate things which are, let's say, more creative, more unique than what we are doing today.
Is there anything to say to journal editors or associate editors, editors-in-chief, or people at the gates to solve some of these issues that we have lost meaning in the research, or there's too much academic concerns? Is there something that we can say to editorial boards?
Yeah.
Because my issue is, at one point, someone has to do something about it, right? Yeah, we're talking about the issue very clearly. And you said, it is not down to yours. It is empiricism, but not in theory or not in reality. But at one point, someone has to do something about it.
I talked to a couple of editors, no names mentioned though, but and they agree with me that there are too much excellent quantitative studies, but perhaps too little theoretical underpinning and too little theoretical discussion of theoretical aspects of what's coming out from the quantitative study. And they in private discussions, they have agreed with me on this point. But obviously the culture is such that they seem to dominate. It's hard to resist, so to say. And I believe, I don't know if I am correct. I'm a great friend of North America, so that's not the issue. But I think this culture is stronger in North America, perhaps, than in Europe. That's and most of these journals, they are in fact edited in North America, and I would also say that most research in international business is produced by excellent research is produced by Anglo-Saxon, so to say, researchers. I believe.
Thank you, Jan-Erik. Last question. What's the question that I should have asked you but haven't?
I think you asked most questions. What can be done to promote more processual studies then would be a question you have made. I think that centers of international business should invest in building relationships with multinational companies to be able to collect data, let's say micro-foundational data, over a series of years. Maybe this could be combined with, let's say, programs, internal programs, educational programs for managers in multinational companies. But having a relationship over several years, collecting data on a lower level than what is produced in annual reports, for example. And then, because in spite of what I'm saying, that we have too much of quantitative studies, I think when it comes to these micro-foundational things, knowledge building, learning, commitment, and so on and so forth, we need quantitative studies in these areas. And because of that, centers of international business should invest in building long-term relationships with multinationals.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. I enjoyed our conversation a lot. I learned a lot from you. I hope the audience will agree with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilgas. Nice meeting you.